Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croydragon and welcome back to Choice of the Petal Throne. Chapter 5, Beneath the Earth, Into the Past. The Underworld, Summer 2365 AS. Your journey through the subterranean ruins is surprisingly like any other march. Periods of tedium enlivened by conversation and scenery. Except that the scenery is the twisted remnants of a dead culture, and the pressing darkness and threat of attack are omnipresent. Actually, that last part is rather similar to some night marches you've been on. Sayi seems contently smug to be leading the way, but mostly focused on that task. By contrast, Kasai Narun charts a zigzag path through the ruins, examining giant frescoes lacquered to the passage road such that they never fade, but marred by fissures and large cracks, and statues toppled onto their sides. He is the first to notice, hours in, when you leave the buildings of the Engsvanyali and descend into eons shrouded by time. We must be down in the Bed Loungen Imperium stratum now. None of the religious art features the lords of stability, only of change. Well, that and the gaudiness. They coined the phrase, nothing truly glorious is attained through moderation, and it shows in their art. I roll my eyes and continue to follow Sayi. She is carefully picking a path. She looks back at Narun and shakes her head. He needs to realize this isn't an archaeological survey. The serious words and tone are a contrast to the rave of your youth. Since passing through that door, Sayi has become all business. The mischief and merrymaking you associate with her are gone. More walking and you get lost in your thoughts before bumping into Sayi, who has stopped to stand still. She waves to hush you. A man-sized beetle trundles through a cross passage, black mandibles clicking rhythmically. The torchlight makes its carapace glow an emerald green, but the monster shies away from the brightness. You see wedged in the ring, floats high on its back, a copper-sheathed pommel. The priests of Sarku must have ventured down this far after all, and thus the creature wandered up into their tombs. Don't need trouble. A wise decision. There will be plenty of trouble waiting. Waiting ahead. Sayi stretches hands over her head. Spines crack. Sayi stretches hands over her head, spine cracking. Those Delaco live in tombs feasting upon dead flesh, which means there might still be undead nearby. We should put some more distance between us and that door. Narun looks impressed at this unexpectedly scholarly side to your cousin. You've turned into quite the tour guide, he says with friendly irony. I get around. Sayi replies annoyed. Soldiers from Prince Verish Khaled's legions have been clearing catacombs in every city they take practically since the war began. Everyone knows the priests of Sarku are loyal to the Emperor. She grabs a torch and sets off. Following Sayi's footsteps through the cracked and distorted passages of an ancient city with time measured only by the burn of torches, you realize that your group has begun to resemble a small band more than a military hierarchy. The dark, unfamiliar surroundings have stripped all pretense from you. That is suspicious. You inquire about the route, but she responds with a annoyance. I had to memorize 4 different squadrons of note, none of which are particularly accurate, and half of the landmarks are out of order, so unless you want to die starving down here, please leave me alone to think. You call a halt right there. You call a halt right then and there, saying to Sayi, "You're pushing too hard, and mental fatigue can't help." She wipes sooty sweat from her brow and hair from her eyes. "You're right, I just need a few minutes to close my eyes," she replies. The two of you find a squarish stone, cold and hard but out of the muck, and lie side by side, limbs entangled. Sayi is asleep almost instantly, but you are left awake to listen to her breathing and the steady drip of water off the walls. True to her word, she awakes a short time later, with a feline stretch of the slab to move and examine an inscribed pillar. A torch dropped down the hole is visible in a small circle of light, maybe 2 stories below. It squats in the middle of a hole full of cracked and fallen pillars, and the one had almost stumbled into it after hours of walking. "This is definitely what we're looking for," says Sayi. "There's a clear record of this hole being dug. The nobleman whose entertaining room this used to be," she says, gesturing around the spacious hall, "filed a complaint with Queen Nayari's government in Jakala. Besides you, Narun resounds impressed. The generals really dug into the past to find this thing, didn't they? Ancient maps, Benaljan, court records. How did they find all this?" "I read that it was the undead that first told the Emperor to start looking here. Someone's illustrious ancestor, lovingly preserved for countless generations, reciting a story he heard from his own ancestor as a boy." Sayi ties a rope off on a nearby stalagmite. "Possibly once the base of a column?" Frowns at it, and phones back, testing her rate. "The Emperor had teams searching the record rooms in Avanthar and Beisu for months to find anything more than the town name. But when one bureaucrat finally did find a trail, she took the records and defected to Prince Vereshkala." Well, lucky they did. How brave to take the risk. "Brave? A bureaucrat?" Sayi's voice is full of scorn. "More likely she was so blinded by avarice that she couldn't think straight, and then having grabbed the documents was too afraid to go back." "Isn't there room for altruism in your worldview?" asked Narun. "Maybe she was a patriot risking all for her clan." "In my experience," Sayi says, tugging again on the rope with a frown, "people talk about duty, but they act for themselves." Satisfied it's anchored, she stops, pulling on the rope. "I think this is as secure as it's going to get. Rappelling is a standard part of military training. Do you remember practicing off the side of a Sakbi road as a raw recruit? However, no one feels like trusting this rope or its anchor with more than one person at a time." The run volunteers to go first, and before anyone can object, has leaned back over the pit, rope wrapped around an arm guard, and agilely leaped back into darkness, a fleeting look of boyish pleasure on his face. You've seen the torch lifted and his face looking up from the bottom. "It's safe to come down!" He pauses, looking out from the side, and then the torch moves out of your view at the bottom of the hole. Great. Sighing, you order Sayi to wait here until you've gone down to belay her. You land with a splash in a shallow puddle that shimmers in the torchlight. You're in some kind of stone hall with carvings on the walls, but nearby there is a large fissure, beyond which the floor continues downward at a steep angle. The one is leaning against the wall, foot twisted. I slipped in the water, he says, voice tight with strain. Help me up, it really hurts. You walk forward and bend down, arm outstretched. The one's nails bite like claws as they grasp your forearm to pull your face down to his, and his eyes are deep pools of black. They expand to fill all of your world. She's trying to kill me. I hear her thoughts. She wants the artifact for herself. You must calm her down and kill her while she's vulnerable. Somehow Sayi has done this, knowing what she ought not to know, squirming out of every difficulty with insidious lies. You know now that your only safety lies in her death. A tiny voice inside you objects, but is drowned out by the sound of the one's weeping. You have to make it stop the crying. It hurts so much. You grab the rope, holding it steady and waving the torch side to side. Come down! Sayi slides gracefully down the rope at her speed. Sayi slides gracefully down the rope at speed. Her back to you, but as you swing the fatal blow, she catches the movement from the corner of her eye and manages to twist by dumb luck, entangling your sword and the rope. The wound shrieks in rage, but when you turn to look at him, he's gone, replaced by you. Rave! He cries. It's a monster! It killed Naroon, please help me! He whimpers like a child, the grating sound echoing up and down the corridor. As its attention leaves you, the volume of sound shrinks enough for you to hold a brief, coherent thought in your head. I attack the monster wearing my face. Before you can act, you hear Naroon's voice from behind you. Just run! Get away from its voice! He begins to chant haltingly in Andalusian Salavyani. As you back away, buffeted by waves of psychic realm ebbing and flowing with the Emperor's cries. You, the other you, leap toward Sayi, and then you are Sayi, both of them falling in a tangle. You need to stop Naroon's chanting. You need to kill Rave. You place your hands over your ears and walk back and forth in agony. An old woman stands before Naroon, calling for your blood, for vengeance. But though visibly pale, he continues to chant, holding out an amulet. When he stops, so too does the constant noise, and there is an amazing silence so complete it stuns you. You look up as Naroon shakes your shoulder. Come on, we need to move. I don't know how long the amulet will work, and then it will return. You see Sayi push herself up, dry heaving. You're only half aware as you scurry off down the tunnel and begin running. What was that? Whispers Sayi, and you're about to uncertainly reply when Naroon says, A Marishialu, a Emperor. I read that they were made in the latter times to guard things of great value, and that some sorcerers of Lord Kisarul can bind them. When I came down the hall, I thought I heard my sister crying, and he moves off down the hall, running a trembling hand along the stone walls, over carvings of strange men sitting astride odd animals. Sayi dusts herself off and looks around. Luckily, we ran the right direction. This hole is supposed to intersect a shaft that swallows the sea. Whatever that means. Whatever that means. Whatever that means, we're close now. She follows the run down the hole and soon overtakes him. The run maintains his slow, dreamlike pace. The group is in a somber, quiet mood as you march down the endless hall. The torches flicker, and your shadows play over the reliefs on the walls. But everyone is too lost in their own thoughts to speak. You remember the rage you felt towards Sayi under the mental control of the Marishialu, and peek at your clan cousin. She wakes with confidence you would not have suspected in this place. Why did the monster single her out? Slowly, a faint, far-away rumble begins to intrude upon your thoughts, growing as you move farther along. The shaft is perfectly square in cross-section, and made of a smooth silver metal, more metal than you have ever seen. A man-sized crack above your head mars the perfect smoothness from its, and from it gushes a river of water, pouring down into endless darkness with a thundering roar. Sayi cups her hands under the deluge and drinks thirstily before splashing some of her face and whooping. The moon stands in the mist, smiling, arms held out to catch the refreshing spray as he looks about. Don't celebrate too early, we need to find a way. Are we going up or down? Across seems not to be an option. Down, replies Sayi and begins to look, walking along the edge. Soon Sayi is shouting again, triumph in her voice. Here, there's a ladder. She is lying on the stone floor of the hall, waving her torch over the edge. It's a bit of a reach, but not too far. The ladder is made of the same metal as everything else, and fused from the side of the shaft. With a shrug, Narun begins climbing down back to the waterfall. Far below, you see a faint luminescence. After descending the height of Asakbi Road, you come to the source of the light. Another hallway, leading back to the direction you came, and made of the omnipresent grey metal. The corridor is bathed in harsh light, as bright as the daytime sun, but with no obvious source of illumination. At Sayi's gesture, the one swings himself into it, and the rest of you follow behind. Behind you, the water continues its rush into the dark, and before you, the unrelieved featureless grey walls curve. There are no branchings, though the wall forward often bends. The walls are featureless, but hung with large paintings at regular intervals. The art is strange, looking so realistic that it almost resembles windows into another place. In one, a woman in strange dress lies sleeping upon a beach. In another, the smiling bust of a giant man holds up a cylinder with writing on it. After the decayed glory and rubbish of the previous levels, the sparse alien sameness is disorienting. The run is entranced by the foreign architecture and calls to Sayi. What is this place, Signaler? It's where our general's treasures lie. That's all that matters, replies Sayi curtly, though you suspect she knows more than that. I ignore their bickering. You have not walked long before the passage continues into a large bare room. Your eye is drawn to what looks like an armored demon of Karakan squatting in the middle of it. It hulks unmoving over a stairway with short pillars to either side. It has one blazing scarlet eye and three stumpy silver limbs protruded from each shoulder of its squat frame. These are held stiffly outward to block the passage between the pillars and spin in an odd ritual gesture, angry lighting arcing out from them. It shouts commandingly at you in a language you do not understand, repeating the same phrase over and over, though it has no mouth from which to speak. Give it my stone sword as an offering sacred to Lord Karakan. Chanting a prayer to the war god, you approach his demon and kneel before it. Head bowed from the floor, you hold the sword out and place it before you. Immediately, a bolt of lightning strikes the sword, melting and twisting it as your sacrifice is accepted amidst acrid smoke. The demon ceases its display of power and its eyes dim as it returns to slumber. Tentatively, your group moves past the demon or whatever it is, jumping over its arms and down the stairs. Devoid of movement and lighting, it looks much less impressive. Its armor is the same metal that makes up the room, and its rectangular body is fused to the floor. You begin to doubt your initial assessment. Sayi is trembling with excitement. There are flights and flights of strange metal stairs, punctuated by landings and short halls. Sometimes the halls lead to different stair rounds, and you suspect Sayi might be guessing where to go at this point. The walls are mostly unadorned, except for more murals depicting people or landscapes. There is little artistry or proper scale to these odd images. Through a door at the bottom of one flight is yet another hallway, with coloured glass on the floor beside deep circular pits. And next to one of them, a tall man-shaped demon shining like bronze. A Wuran. The Wuran is sweeping a spotless floor, oblivious to your presence. The others peer around the doorframe, and then back up the stairs to whisper. And then back up the floors to whisper. The Run's voice is trembling with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. A Run, maybe you can tell us where the item we seek is. Sayi dismisses this immediately. Everything else down here is trying to kill us. Let's not court trouble this close to our goal. It's probably like the Marish Yalu and keeps to its territory. I think you're more afraid of losing your monopoly on knowledge than you are of the demon. The Run replies, giving her a shrewd look. Sayi is too busy sputtering at Narun's accusation to mount an objection as you step through the doorway. The bronze demon turns at your approach, and though its mask-like metal face doesn't change, it manages to convey annoyance by shooing at you with its broom and pointing back out the door while babbling in a foreign tongue. It doesn't speak Soyani and doesn't want us here. Can we move along? Sayi calls from her spot near the door. That writing on its back is an ancient Bednaujan, Narun says thoughtfully. I think it's a spell inscription. I could try to read it if you get the one to stand still. Do you know what spell it will cast? Asks Sayi in a skeptical tone. No, I didn't think so. No, let's leave it be. Don't want to invite death. With a sigh, Narun turns from the demon. He casts longing glances back over his shoulder as you all leave the room. A handful of turns and stairways bring you to a near identical room with the same pits and coloured panels, and in the middle, the object of your quest. The artifact is underwhelming in appearance. A waist-high black stone block with dull silver filigree and other ornamentation. In fact, you might have overlooked it were the room's not so bare, or if Sayi had not gasped and gone to run hungry eyes over it at once. Excuse me. Narun walks around it with a critical eye. So this is what it's all been about. He looks up at you in stiffens. I can't let you go back with us, and the glory that will come from it is too great. And I was never supposed to let you survive this little adventure. I am sorry it comes from this. My clan has its grievances, and I've been ordered to carry them out. I hope we can face our destinies as honourable soldiers, and round for my part, if I win, I'll make sure everyone knows you died in service for our prince. In the silence that follows his awkward, obviously rehearsed speech, a look of desperate frustration comes over his features. Family loyalty is one thing, but I am not some assassin or thug to be sent for a quiet killing in the dark. Why? Why am I saying this to your face? Why did I save you when I could have let the Marishialu do my murder for me? He clenches his jaw and stares you in the eyes. Do you have such a low opinion of my honor? I'm telling you because you saved my entire serum. I owe you a debt for that which I can't repay. And as a soldier, can't choose whether to serve or whom to serve, but we find our honor in how we serve. I'm sorry, but it has to end this way. You cut short your skein of destiny in the day you crossed the blue girdle. He slashes at the air, battling his thoughts. I don't agree with my uncle, and I know my cousin Ayin is happier in that monastery, but since when does happiness matter next to duty? Did you think you could save her? Well, she escaped hers, but now a heavier one has fallen on me. As his fist tightens around his weapon, his voice bounces with helplessness and directionless anger. So pick up your sword and face me now. Let me explain. This isn't about duty. This is about a bitter, thwarted old man throwing a fit. Save your breath, Tayoni. Your cousin cuts across your protestations of innocence. Sayi is standing, an eye pointed at Narun. She stalks to the side of one of the pits, and stamping down on a blue glass panel, eye still trained on Narun. I can't let you kill my cousin after that rambling speech on familial duty. I'm sure you understand. She flicks her eyes at you momentarily. What do you want me to do? Are you sure? Sayi's voice is full of skepticism. I don't want to have to watch your back with every step we take. She turns to Narun. Maybe you could give your parole. I think your word means too much for you to break it. You have to see how futile carrying out your clan's orders is now. With a step back, she moves to put both of you in the eye's line of fire. Besides, we're not going back to Sengmar, and no one's getting covered in any glory, so there's nothing for you two to be fighting over. She smirks. Well, I might get some glory when Spy Master Veredika and the Emperor see the new toy I've brought them. We're going to Avanthar. You're betraying me too? No, Sayori. Wrong game. This isn't Doki Doki Literature Club, and that's not Sayori. No, Sayi is indignant. I'm doing this for us. Do you have any idea of the riches that won't be showered on you when we arrive? This is our happily ever after. She begins to pace. I kept train back to the corner. Emperor Eternal Splendor is the rightful heir to the Imperium. And more importantly, the only one of his siblings strong enough to end this war quickly. Do you really think it matters whose ass graces the Petal throne? Are we supposed to keep fighting ourselves while the Mugalaviani and Salavya and Yonkor all eat away at our borders? Emperors come and go and bring their favoured gods with them, but the empire remains. The whole point of the damned Kul Jalem is to avoid this kind of dynastic struggle. You've never heard Sayi sound so impassioned or really ever speak about politics, and it takes you a bit aback. Narun is less impressed. The usurper should have thought of that when he declared himself emperor without a fair Kulam Jalim. Then, don't pretend that he didn't start this war, he spits. And where's your loyalty to your clan and their heir, their interests and their god? It seems to me you're just an opportunist trying to finagle yourself onto the winning side. Don't pretend to know me. Your cousin's voice is full of pride. I worked long and hard to get where I am. From informant to useful spy, and finally an actual rank in Verideka's new omnipotent Azure Legion. You speak of loyalty to the Legion of the Ruby Hand? Well, I have my loyalty too, to those who fight for the Empire with cleverness and deceit instead of swords. She takes a steadying breath, eyes fixing on your face. But I remember my old loyalties too, she says, the pride ringing in her voice momentarily, replaced by pleading. And that's why I want you to come with me, willingly. We can make good for ourselves in this, and even extend protection to Sea Blue if that's important to you. We'll be important people, valued and respected. I can't give you the artifact, but I can give you that. As she finishes speaking, there is a whirring sound accompanied by a wind, and a large sphere emerges from the pit to hover beside Sayi. It's bigger than a prince's palanquin, but floats in the air like a feather. A door on its side opens and the glass below Sayi's foot turns to yellow. My palanquin awaits. Time to decide. I can't let you take the artifact. No, you reply. My answer is no. You know that the minute you move to water and let shown fire, and so the two of you circle. Eyes locked as you draw your sword. No, Tayuni, she chides. Why must you be so stubborn? The game is played out. Over her shoulder you see Kasai and Narun begin to move. There's no trace of conflict in his features, and his attention is focused solely on Sayi. Quickly, you flick your eyes back to Sayi's face and speak to draw her attention. Oh, I still have a few moves left. Well, I'm waiting to see them. She looks theatrically from side to side. The Kasai snipes into her from the back. Sayi sprawls on the floor, pinned as the eye roams across the unnatural and smooth metal. Under the floating sphere and tumbles down the pit. Before she can recover, you pounce upon your traitorous clan cousin. The struggle is brief and decisive. Sayi fights with desperation, but is not up to your caliber. In the end, she nods before you, bleeding, and begins to softly laugh, though it's quickly transformed into a wet cough. I suppose this is a better ending than being taken back and publicly impaled, she says between fits. Let no one say I'm a sore loser when I gamble big. Take this. She reaches into her kirtle and pulls out a small flat disc. There's a mouth in the sphere. Put that in it. And push the button below the third window from the left. It'll take you to Cebu, and the station there is near the surface. Would have been so easy to just come here from there, but you need the light. The light goes out of her eyes. You turn from Saeed's body to look at Narun. Are you still determined to do to the desk? To the desk? What the hell? Are you still determined to doom to the death, you ask? You know I never wanted to. It's my duty to my family. But if you're willing to fight your cousin, how can I do less? He looks down. At least that's enough of a reason to tell myself and to tell my clan. You both stand and stare for a while at the black cube that has caused all this chaos. You're not sure you trust IE, but anything is better than trying to go back. But anything is better than trying to get back past the Marishalu. You move the block into the floating palanquin and feed it the strange disc, causing the windows inside to look out on different scenes, mostly haunts like this one. One is underwater. In the seventh, the priests and the robe of Sorku and guards and the elaborate armor of the omnipotent Azure Legion patrol. The third can be a window onto this very place. You keep a deep breath, look at Narun and you take a deep breath, look at Narun beside you and push a button beneath the third window. That's all for today, everyone. I'm Brian Croydragon signing out. Stay straight!